Good morning.
Good morning, Dewald. How are you today?
I am very well. Better than yesterday morning.
Yes, indeed. We spoke about the new or the BE legislation, and we were very confused about that. Asked the question about does anybody have any clarity about that? And obviously, we weren't the only people because while we were talking about this, the government issued a media statement exactly outlining all of this very clearly. And we have published that on our LinkedIn page. So the government came to our rescue and to everyone else's who didn't know what this was all about, published something.
I can't really say it's rescue, but they've clarified it.
Clarified. They came to, let's put it this way, the questions have been answered and very clearly. So there it is. Anyone has further questions, you're welcome to have a look there on our page.
Yesterday afternoon, I saw an article by Elton Greef. Again, remember he posted the first one with that I put through ChatGPT and everything. And the question for this article that he wrote is, why did people overreact like this? And I've got to say, I think it's just, it was almost a straw that broke the camel's back. And I do think that Report or Media24 or whoever wrote that article, that person needs to be keel-hauled because they nearly caused a lot of nonsense for us.
That is why the principles of journalism and knowing what to do and knowing how to write and making sure that what you're writing is the truth and not sensational is still important and is still as valid as ever. And unfortunately, a lot of times journalists today are losing that skill. But we'll move on.
And Report will probably print a retraction notice or an apology and stick it on page 48, if they even have 48 pages left in the newspaper. Stick it in the bottom right-hand corner between the escort ads where nobody will see it.
Dear Walt. Okay, so...
It's
Yes. Okay. So what's in the news this morning that you want to discuss?
Okay. Let's just get it up here. You found this article quite interesting. Let me just get it up. Okay. In 2023, world wine production is expected to be the smallest in 60 years.
Yes, we'll say that again. The world wine production is expected to be the smallest in the last 60 years. Wine lovers, take note.
Okay, so do you think that something like this could spark a price war in 10 years' time? If you've got a bottle of 2023 vintage Pinot Noir sitting on a cabinet somewhere, it's going to be a hell of expensive, like the phylloxera outbreak that nearly killed the world wine industry. So wines before then is like really pricey.
Who knows? It certainly is a possibility because if when was it during COVID? People were talking about wine lakes in different countries, and we couldn't sell all our wine, and literally around the world there have been massive surpluses of wine. Whether what the situation is now, I'm unsure. I can't mention that. But when the production slows down to this extent, the lowest wine production in 60 years, we should all take note. And the article, and what does the article say about the reasons for that?
And this is not just some sensational article. It's the International Organization of Vine and Wine. Don't know who they are. But it looks more legit than what the report cover looked.
Yes.
So this is, yeah.
And it talks about a lot of these problems, particularly in Europe. These comments are talking about Italy and Spain, and they're talking about due to unfavorable weather conditions that led to downy mildew and droughts. Yeah. So we're talking about quite something.
Based on the information collected on 29 countries, which account for 94% of the global production in 2022, world wine production, excluding juices and musts, in 2023 is estimated between 241.7, I don't know what MHL stands for, mega hectoliters or something, and 246.6 with a mid-range estimate of 244. This represents a decrease of 7% compared to the already below average volume of 2022.
Yeah. So take note, wine lovers. Best you get your wine now.
This year's figures should be, however, taken with caution, as there are still large countries like China, whose information is not available yet, like usual. Also, the high volatility in production volumes observed over the last years at both country and regional levels make forecasting exercise even more difficult. There was that interesting.
Okay, so there could still be more information coming in, which could change this. Nonetheless, the ones that are already reported are down quite considerably.
Yeah,
and it
looks like it's climate conditions that caused this.
Yeah, and it says this would be the smallest production since 1961. That's since long before either of us were born. Even lower than the historically small production volume of 2017. This negative scenario can be attributed to significant declines in major wine-producing countries in both hemispheres. So from wine gluts to wine shortages, it could happen.
Very interesting.
Early frosts, heavy rainfall, and drought have significantly impacted the output of the world vineyard. So there you go.
Okay, so next on the next topic is that from this article, let me just get it here. Where is it now? On the Red Meat Bulletin, the Rooi Vleis Bulletin from the Red Meat Producers Organization. And it's basically beef exports is vital to South Africa to help the farmers grow. Because it's been, and I don't know about the listeners, one of the things that, as my father-in-law always say, if you lose him in a shop, you'll find him in three places: either at the wine shelf, or the cheese shelf, or the meat shelf. I would be either between the cheese and the meat if you're looking for me, with my vegan intolerance. And I've looked at the prices on beef, and it has become quite a bit more cheaper per kilogram. I know particularly Checkers and Food Lovers ran a special during the World Cup. T-bone steaks for, I think, 109 Rand a kilo. And the rump sirloin and those type of cuts have been holding steady for probably the last 6 months at about 170, 180 Rand a kilo. So, and this comes down to this, is that South Africa has got a bit of a surplus in the market. Let me just find that part.
The first line of this, I think, is quite good to mention. It says the GDP growth in South Africa is too low for the feedlot industry to expand. So, our country's growth has really slowed, and that affects everything. So that is the important thing here, is that our country's growth is too low for the feedlot industry to expand. So in other words, for beef to grow, beef exports are the only way in which the industry will really grow and be competitive. And the aim is to export 20% of local production, says Lo van Reenen of Beefmaster at the recent RPO conference. So I think that is absolutely what you're saying about the beef prices. And, if people aren't earning enough to be able to buy the meat, you can't really grow your industry, and exports are the only way.
There was an interesting part I read earlier. I'm just trying to find it quickly. Data from SARS indicate a huge decline in exports because the industry lost some of its biggest markets, like China, due to the foot and mouth disease outbreaks. Where beef was exported to 42 countries, it is currently being exported to only 28 countries. Now, I do know that with the BRICS summit, beef was opened up again to China and also to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, often these things are opened, but it sometimes takes a while for it all to get going again, which we don't know, but that could be the case. And the point is, foot and mouth disease is a phytosanitary problem. It's not phyto. Phyto refers to plants, but it's an animal health problem, which needs to be monitored and kept in place by the authorities. And it's one of those things where if the finger is not kept on the pulse with that kind of thing, then you have these kind of problems, just like we recently had with the chickens. So it's again, it's the keeping track of any kind of problems and keeping your finger on it and stopping it before it becomes an issue that's having a huge impact on our exports.
According to Van Reenen, South Africa is currently sitting with the cheapest weaner calves in the world. During 2016 and 2017, South Africa was close to having the most expensive weaner calves in the world. One of the major problems is the fact that our prices are about 50% below the world price. It was during the past 10 years the cheapest meat in the world. It's definitely more expensive during times of higher export. So that equate to more expensive prices on the shelves and more expensive prices in the restaurants as well. He made it clear that the current low price can in no way be attributed to Namibia and Botswana, but is only due to the fact that our exports are too low.
Well, if we want our meat industry to survive, they need to be able to grow, and they need to be able to export.
I'm doing my very best to do that.
Yes, indeed. I must say, I enjoy a good steak myself. But this is, people don't always realize the impact of when our export markets are closed, how that impacts the industry as a whole. We as local people making use of beef produced here, that is what we do. But our supply to us is also dependent on exports, because if they can't export and they can't grow and they can't make money, then it's going to affect the supply to the people in our country as well. So it is connected, and people tend to forget that. So we really hope that this will go better.
The next paragraph is also quite important. Van Reenen said the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development plays an important role to open up meat markets, and exports to China is once again possible. However, this market is only relevant to a few, illustrated by the fact that Beefmasters was the only exporter to China for almost 2 years.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, we don't know enough about exporting meat to China.
No.
Versus fruit. We know a lot more about the protocols and things that's got to be in place in fruit pack houses. So it would be interesting to know why that is the case. Are they the only ones that are complying to the specific protocols, or is Dalrad not helping other places to get up to standard? Well, what is the story? It would be interesting. We have reached out to Lau to be on our podcast. I'll tag him. Lau, please come and speak to us.
Again, and there, the very final paragraph also is very important. It says, if significant volumes are not exported, it will be to the detriment of emerging farmers, because they are struggling to get access to markets, and if there is less demand, which is the case in the past year. So, yes, Dalrad's job is very important in this whole process. It's good to know that China's open again, but yeah, one would imagine that it would be good to try for the whole industry to try and export more. Our 5 cents, we don't know much about meat, but we do know we enjoy eating it, and it would be very nice for it to be there in the supermarkets for the rest of our days. And for that reason, we need the meat industry to thrive. And
Yes.
good luck with that.
Okay, then so in closing, very feel-good story. And because we have been listening and following up on quite a bit of stuff in this arena, and we've spoken to some experts, this is a very cool story. But New Zealand and England got their asses handed to them again by South Africa. And this time by the honeybees. It gave them a real sting.
Yeah, this is a gorgeous story.
Yeah. Western Cape beekeepers excel in world famous honey competition. Okay, Louise, you read up a little bit more about this. Please tell us your part.
I'm just opening the article here. It's yes. So South Africa was invited. The Western Cape Beekeepers Association invited South Africa. No, sorry. Let me get this right. There is I can't get the article open, so I'm just going to speak from memory when I read the article. So the Western Cape Beekeepers Association was invited to exhibit and to take part in a competition held in London. It's in England. It's a 100-year-old competition, honey tasting competition. I'm just trying to get this article open here on my side. And the South Africans entered for the first time, and they won and they walked away with a prize.
Okay,
So
I'll read it.
it's pretty cool.
A young beekeeper from Cape West Coast has clinched the top award at one of the world's leading honey shows. David Rooifontein from St. Helena Bay came first in the international honey category at the United Kingdom's National Honey Show, held on the 27th and 28th of October 2023. His winning honey was a light, perfumed orange honey produced by his bees located in orchards in the Citrusdal area. It's the first time South African beekeepers, all from the Western Cape, have taken part in this beekeeping competition, which celebrates its centenary this year. Entries poured in from across the British Isles and elsewhere in the world. Rooifontein, who hails from Uppington and has a farming background, became a beekeeper 3.5 years ago when he was barely 20. He was taken under the wing of well-known West Coast commercial beekeeper Peter Loubser, who trained him in all aspects of beekeeping. His beekeeping talent first caught the eye of the judges in the Western Cape Beekeeping Industry Association recent honey show during the Nampo Agricultural Expo in Bredasdorp, where he received the award for top development beekeeper. Another Western Cape beekeeper, Audrey de Jong of Cape Town, came in third in the UK competition's international category. De Jong's entry was a complex natural blend of eucalyptus and fynbos honey. Peter Loubser, Rooifontein's mentor, was very highly commended for rare honey variety made from the nectar of rooibos tea plants. Now, there can't be a lot of honey in rooibos tea, so those bees must have worked really hard. While his Renosterveld sourced honey was given a commendation. Roxanne Norris of Cape Town received a commendation for her citrus honey, and Ahmad Kazi of Somerset West was commended for his display of honey and beeswax products. Chris Nicklin, chairman of the Western Cape Beekeeping Association, says, "We are actively encouraging our member beekeepers to show off the dazzling array of honeys we produce here in the Western Cape." He adds, "The results from the UK National Honey Show demonstrate the exceptional quality of honey, and it's hoped well soon to be able to share it with honey lovers all over the world." There's an interesting thing there that's come in the podcast that we did with Mike Alsop. South Africa cannot export honey. It's because bees fall under the plant protection category from Dalrad. And you need a veterinary certificate. You don't need the plant
in other countries, it falls under animal health, and
Yes.
the bees are inspected by vets. And in South Africa, for some reason, it still falls under plant health, although
Yes.
for years they've been trying to move it to under animal health so that they can have vets inspected. And as a result, South Africa is not able to export honey. But here is certainly motivation for that to be changed, because
Yes.
when the first time South Africa enters a competition that's 100 years old and they walk away with the first prize, really.
And the
it's
third
time
prize.
now. The
First
first
and
prize,
third.
the third prize, yes. And it's certainly time now. And we've actually just recently done a podcast, which we haven't published yet, with Chris Nicklin and Riette. She's also on the committee.
And a
We'll be
big
putting,
part of the podcast was about the honey and how unique South African honeys are.
so this is very exciting, and and I have to add the pun. So we're ending on a sweet note.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Right.
Thank you.
That's it. That's it for today.
That's it for today. Have a good one.
Cheerio.
Bye.